Welcome
Welcome indeed to
to
our
our
first. God damn it! To our first fucking Doctor Stone weekly discussion. Adding it to the repertoire, and we will slowly be adding more manga to the repertoire, because he wants me to catch up with the just debacle that is Black Clover. But I'll be fair. I will review each chapter as its own thing.
yeah, and then me and Dave are gonna review Yuna in the yeah.
Oh, is this true, David?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I
Nani?
don't think Dave is caught up in that manga yet. Anyway,
All right. Well, first thing we have to talk about is how about that color page, Thurman?
ooh, sexy.
I mean, well, what I have noticed a lot about this series immediately is that there are certain authors that draw like the physique like better than others. Like Oda, let's be honest here, from One Piece, not a lot of detail goes into like the actual body and like fucking like what bodies actually look like. But people like Kubo and I think this author are good examples of people who draw the body pretty well. So, or well, I guess it's a different author and artist in this one. But yeah, I just noticed that, and obviously, as a straight male, I noticed that. But moving on. So,
So, I just want to start off by I'm kind of liking how this chapter they're focusing like on the so what I'm assuming they're making right now is kind of like the I
well, they're
don't think it's
making
a
it looks like they're
battery,
making the
but I think
circuit.
it's like the
I think they're
shell.
making. Well, I assumed it was like part of the circuit board for the cell phone.
I thought it was like kind of like the shell, like the actual like metal to
Well,
make
didn't you see
to actually
the
make
last page? It was like a filament.
yeah. I thought, but
A
I'm not really
filament.
good at
Well, a
science.
filament is typically used for like like a lighting thing. So it might even be like for the backlight of the phone.
Hmm.
Because again, the shape of it is that's not nearly enough for like a shell. So I assumed it was either for like detailed wiring, such as like circuit board, or hey David, do you know anything about how fucking phones are made, like smartphones?
I know the Apple factory installed suicide nets.
Okay, random fact.
But it depends by what kind of actual phone it is. If it's one of those budget phones, it's literally the cheap discount store parts that they got in the back alley of some Chinese factory, you know. And then there's the high end ones where it's like actual quality glass. You see the circuit board actually have parts that are actual quality, and then you see the or if it's an Apple phone, it's one you got to repair every 3 weeks. Uh, you can see
Well,
I myself hate Apple.
what would the tungsten, like the metal tungsten, be used for
It
typically
would
in a phone?
probably be utilized in either the logic board or possibly some sort of conductor to recharge the battery.
Oh yeah, they have been mentioning the battery, so that might be it actually. Yeah,
So
because they just made like a little like squiggly yeah, hold on. The very heart of let's see, the strongest heat resistant metal in the universe, tungsten filament, the very heart of the cell phone.
yeah, it's probably some sort of because of not being able to constantly charge it. Essentially, they would maybe utilize that as some sort of recharging mechanism to where they could
Hmm.
heat that and then power back up.
Interesting. Okay, so good. Well, because they talk about in this chapter how it needs to be a metal that can handle a great deal of heat. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
that's why they specifically went out and found tungsten.
Yep.
But another thing I loved about this chapter, Thurman, and I'm sure you noticed it. Well, first of all, one thing that I love about this author in general and this artist, I guess, I love the little. So this page 5, versus heat battle power ranking. I love how he shows the like cutesy little diagram of like what metals can handle what temperature and shit. I love how he does this author.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what type of metals those were because I saw
It's
like
labeled.
lead, silver, iron, glass. I didn't know these three. I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know. And if you
Well,
tell me that,
I've heard of tungsten before. The only two I hadn't heard of was the one on 3 and the one on 2. I hadn't heard of those. I've heard of all the other ones though.
I've heard of lead, glass, gold, silver, obviously, like the ones that you know, but like
Yeah.
I've never heard of the three.
Tungsten I have heard
It's
of before. I think isn't there some cookware made out of tungsten, David?
Yeah,
think.
there is.
Yeah, because I think that's where I've heard it before, like tungsten steel,
Yep.
blank. Yeah, but the other two I have not heard of.
And used in everything from guns to
Yeah,
pretty
guns
much,
too.
pretty
Yeah,
much
that's
every kind of rim on the street anymore for fucking
apparently it's like the
sports
best
cars.
metal for handling heat. It's got a
Yep.
3,400 Celsius melting point, apparently, according to
Yep.
this. But
according to
oh,
if you take this to your science class, you get extra credit for knowing how
bro, this
hot
manga's
tungsten
so
is.
good at teaching me shit, man. Like, it makes it so interesting. But yeah, I love the little diagram they do.
So can
And
we talk about like just like magma magma's complete like transformation
oh,
to
the
like
character development,
to
fantastic.
like
Dude.
how like I love this panel. It's just like what the hell are you doing? You gotta smash the stones, and Sigma was like, well, he's not wrong. He's like, fuck you guys.
He's like,
I love that panel. I love that panel.
That's kind of one of the themes that I've liked about this whole series is like the theme of like he was worried because they talked about this in the cave. He was worried that like he was gonna come and like in the kingdom of science that the strong meathead type people were gonna be replaced, and he was like, no, we work together. The weak, scrawny scientists like me need strong, meat-headed people like you to get the shit. So, like that was kind of one of the themes. Like, no, everyone works together in the science, the weak people and the strong people.
Yes,
And I like that.
Love it.
Now, let's see here. Moving on, what I do need to talk about because it made my fucking heart melt. The Chrome moment. My boy Chrome. I love him.
Woo.
I know you like Chrome too.
I love Chrome. He's like him and Senku are fighting for the top spot. Actually, I swear.
Well, for me, it's him and I always forget the name of the dude, the mentalist dude. But yeah, no, I think that, like he had his moment where it was like I'm trusting you to do this part of the thing on your own, and the fucking page where they high five and walk, back
and
to
then
back.
I just have to. I'm really happy that they gave the old man his limelight.
Yeah.
I was just like this old man. At first I didn't really I wasn't interested in him, but he actually said a line to what's his name that actually started me to like him really much more. I'll probably let me see if I can find it for you. He said a line.
Well, while you're finding it, what I think what this author does really well a lot is actually making characters likable. Because again, like when I started this series, I didn't like almost any of them, and they've grown. And this author takes time to show basically the most important part of a story, which is character interaction that feels real and natural. And what I loved in this chapter so much, well, one, even when he was first introduced, I loved the whole concept with him and like how we'd get really excited about like building shit. Like, oh yeah, he was into that. Like that was the thing. But I really loved the scene here too, where they're like, hey man, we're your friends. And like, cause you have this social stigma and I've gone through it too, where like there's this whole like, but you're at such a different age, you can't be friends. And he's like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, and that really got me too. And this huge panel where he's tearing up, like, oh my god, oh my, this author just knows how to do like proper character interaction, so good. So, what was the line you were thinking of, Thurman?
I'm still finding it right now. Keep talking.
Remind me what it was if it was in this chapter. I just read it.
No, it was in later chapters. Oh, here we go. I found it. So he says to Ginro. Ginro's the kind of like the weak one.
The blonde one?
Yeah. So Ginro is at the part where they're going to the dangerous chemicals, right?
Yeah, I love that.
So essentially, he's like saying, "I can't be brave. They're just being brave. I can't stand it. It's too scary." Blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, the old man's like, to clam up and run away owing to her abusive language might just be the result of a weakness, inferiority in your own frightened self. Calm yourself, Ginro. A leader never has any weakness. And then he says, rather weakness is the coward's secret to long life. Isn't that far more convincing from this old man? I was also one of those cowards. Everyone's innermost thoughts, they want to become someone who isn't a coward. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
when I
think
started liking him as a character because he had
there are
wisdom.
moments like
And
that for like every character in this series. Like I remember, like I actually started liking I don't remember again names I'm bad with, but the stronger of the bridge guard team.
yeah,
I really started liking him once we found out that he actually had bad eyesight and that he was hiding that. Like that immediately made him so human. Like he tries to be tough, but he has that eyesight. And I also loved how he also tries to be tough, but he secretly did want that silver spear in the beginning, you know?
hmm
And now I love that he's like still the tough guy. He wears the glasses. It's just great. But yeah, they do characters fantastic in here. Now, let me see. Oh, I do love the part where he's explaining the whole process to to again the mental. I'm just gonna call him the mentalist until I have a solid memory of his name. Don't roast me in the okay. I can't memorize all these goddamn fucking names. Always get people. You don't remember the name? Dermot, did I ever tell you about that guy? And I love you if you're watching. I love you. But like the guy who always roasts me about not remembering the names of Promised Neverland.
Oh,
Well, because I made a
no,
comment. I was
no,
like,
you never.
what?
Oh, is that the same guy who's comments on every Promise Neverland video you guys
I
do?
think so. Yeah. Which, by the way, we love you if you're watching. No, I made a comment where I was like, okay, you're gonna act like you know the fucking name, but you know you went and wikied it. You fucking Promised Neverland wikied it, and he responded like, no, I actually remembered it, and I was like, yeah, fuck you. And then I had a response. I was like, I went to the wiki page of that particular character, and I was like, this character has one sentence on the wiki. Okay, they've done nothing other than appear, show up in the background. I'm sorry. But yeah, with this guy, he's explaining it, and he's just like, it's so complex. I even like what he says too. He's like, fellow modern man, maybe you'll get this. Like, no, I don't. I only understand the one part. Um, but here. So he makes the giant glass, and at first, I remember when he makes this giant lens, which obviously call back to what he did where he burnt he set the stuff on fire in his fight with Magma. But when he made that, I was literally and this just goes to show how good this author is. When he made that lens, I was like, no, like that because I was thinking like, can't get that hot with a lens, what? And luckily the author proved to be smart in that regard.
I will have to say, the creation of the heat kind of interests me in this chapter because of how they did it. Like, made it kind of like a montage,
Just
like
everything they've made all jammed into one. And I like that when Senku came out, he called it crude. And because I thought the same thing. I was like, I guess that'll work, but it's certainly not elegant.
it's. I mean,
It'll work.
because I like how he was literally like, well, I mean, you said use everything to your advantage, so I mean, why
Yeah,
not?
yeah. I mean, I do like that he called it crude though, because I was thinking the same thing. I also like this page where it's different teams, where it's like battle team, and then he calls the Magma and the girl again. I know some names, not the others. Gorilla team, and I really like this series and how it's stuck with that like thing where like she is actually she appearance wise she looks like a normal like a normal girl, normal kind of frail looking girl, but I love that she's actually like basically the strongest fighter in this series, with the exception of the main antagonist. I find that awesome, and every time it shows her like being really strong, and they jokingly call her a gorilla, I just think that's really cool. Anytime, I always love shit that breaks the gender norms in a non-cringy way. You know what I mean? So I like her character a lot, and I just thought that was a cool panel to see her with Magma being like the strongest ones, making all that heat.
Yeah, I've liked her as a character since she was introduced. She reminded me
Me
of like a
too.
ninja. Although her ninja-ish vibe kind of went away as chapters went on, but I thought she was gonna be like similar to like a ninja type character. She was first
Uh,
introduced.
well, I mean, you gotta remember they're kind of in like basically a Stone Age. It'd be weird if she was a ninja with like they don't really have the technology. Like, ninja is a fighting style, but it's also like
Ninjutsu.
yeah, but
Takes off nerd glasses.
yeah, I don't know. That'd be a little bit weird to have a
Well,
ninja type character in the.
well, Well, I don't. To see at first the way she fought was very ninjutsu like. That's why she reminded me of that. But it kind of went away as the series progressed because it wasn't always their character.
Hmm.
That was just the impression that I got from when she was first introduced way
I
back
mean,
then.
just because someone's fast and like flexible doesn't immediately make them ninja.
Okay, but Brad, you said that was my first impressions, but it went away as chapter went on.
Right, but it's giving me. I'm just trying to troll you because you're giving me weeb vibes where like someone's fast, immediately it's ninjutsu.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I needed to bring that up because if I don't bring it up, someone in the comments might, and you'd rather be trolled by me than some random person.
Being trolled is a universal thing.
Being trolled is his lifestyle. Now, yeah. So at the end here, they make it, and I guess, yeah. I mean, like I said, these videos are gonna be a lot shorter than the One Piece ones because usually it's just like, essentially, it's an episode of fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy. Every manga chapter, it's like, what is he making today? But somehow, so
It's yeah. I would just say overall, I'm really impressed by how they did this chapter. I'm actually excited to see. I'm excited to see because I'm kind of interested to see how they make the cell phone. So right now, what they have right now currently is basically the heat resistant like like stone.
yeah,
So
very heat resistant metal, which is probably gonna be
so
like the power source, the thing that kind of like channels through whatever's powering it. I'm gonna guess.
yes,
And you're right.
uh,
I'm interested in that too because there's so many steps to take to get to that. I don't think it's going to be a legitimate smartphone, but in order to communicate that, they would have to create like a radio waves. And I'm trying to figure out like, or maybe harness. I'm just, I wouldn't even know where to begin to create a cell phone. And that's another thing too. Like it answers questions like, how does one create a cell phone? How does one go out into the middle of nature and create a cell phone? Like, I'll be very curious how that happens.
I'm interested to see just how just in the particular how they essentially because okay, so they have the I'm trying to figure out because I don't know what else goes into a cell phone because right now I like what you said beforehand, like you said they're probably it's not going to be like a smartphone, it's probably going to be like a
Well,
walkie
Senku
talkie type
actually said
thing.
that as well. He said now to make a smartphone, but less emphasis on the smart part. He
Yeah,
said
so
that
it's
in
probably
one
gonna
of
be
the
something
chapters. So it's going to be more.
similar.
I assume it's going to be more like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So which is still decent, but I'm just
Well,
curious to see
just
how
to
well
make
they
it
would.
out of nothing, it's very decent. Yes. To come into a world with nothing, make that it's still absolutely. Well, what I assume they're going to have is like an antenna tower. They're going to make like their own like antenna that basically creates like a shortwave communication where they can kind of talk from like either end of like the village in like a 5 mile radius or something. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, okay.
So they can set up like a
So
perimeter. That's what I'm gonna guess they're gonna do.
I'm guessing because if because if because my thought process when I finished reading this chapter was okay, so so we they have so they make the walkie talkie, right? Okay, and then they're gonna obviously they're gonna have to make more. So my question was is if they make if they make it, how will they be able to essentially utilize this in a way to where it'd be useful in a stone world? Because my first
Well,
thought was okay,
communication from a long distance is always going to be useful, especially in a combat scenario. If the other team doesn't have that and you do, that's huge.
oh yes, by far. But I was thinking of how because because the way I was thinking it in my head was okay, so they make it. Do they have enough? Do, I know they've got enough to make multiple ones, but my just my whole thing was of them testing it out because you definitely still need radio waves
Yeah, that's
to
what I'm
essentially
curious how they're gonna. Because I have no idea how you would even begin to like. I don't know how radio waves work. I don't know that at all. So I'm curious, like, how do you go into that? Like, I
yeah.
remember too.
So
Gosh, so many things.
So that's honestly where I'm kind of left off here. So are we gonna do what we do with our One Piece discussions and do predictions?
Yeah, I mean, that was half my predictions right there. Essentially, I mean,
Yeah, I think that was mine too. To be honest.
yes, just finishing it off. I mean, I'm expecting. I mean, this is just step one. In order to make a cell phone, they're gonna need like a casing. They're gonna need. I think that they've made batteries already. They made batteries with their. That's how they're chart. They're chart. Remember, they're charging the batteries with that water wheel.
Yeah.
So they can use the sulfuric acid, however the fuck they made the batteries to make maybe like a mini battery for this walkie-talkie cell phone thing. So that the battery's down. How I'm not sure how you'd make a microphone actually. I'd be interested. How do you make like a microphone and like a speaker? I wonder in these conditions.
Um.
Man, this is gonna be like again like making that because he talked about how he did kind of talk about that a bit in one of the chapters. He was like it basically replicates the vibrations of a human voice through vibrations in an electronic sense.
Yeah.
God, there's so many. Like that's why it like blows my mind. Imagine going out into the wilderness and being like, "I'll make a cell phone." Because if this manga has proven anything to me, if you're smart enough, you can just go out into the wilderness and like just live on your own.
Yeah.
Like, if you're this smart, you could just go out and be like, "All right, I made my own self-sustaining fucking area, like Native American style, in the middle of this fucking land here."
It's just, and that's the one of the main reasons why I like this series so much.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just like it's it's just a because like I said before, I like smart people. Like I like being friends with people who are more
he
intelligent
likes
than I
smart people because he looks up to what he can never be.
am. Yeah, that's true. You're not wrong.
Yeah, dude. I
So
mean, I'm the same way.
so
That was supposed to be a troll.
but
Damn
I mean it's not a trope, it's fact. So
it.
it's like
Thurman, I appreciate that.
so it's more in sense of more sense of I like how it kind of shows the intelligence, and that's when I kind of appreciate it. Because I like smart people. Like I most of my majority of my friends are more intelligent than I am. So I like people because I like being taught stuff respectfully.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that like, I mean, I'm just trying to think of where this series can go. Like, I think like I said this in our original video about this too. Like our thoughts on the whole series. It reminds me of it's a weird metaphor, but stick with me here. It reminds me of watching like a fucking like part one of like a 300 part Minecraft let's play because it's like you start off with nothing and you can create from that I'm not talking about creative bullshit where you just get everything survival where you have to get everything yourself and from all that stuff that you get and you work for you can make like whole cities and civilizations and roads and pathways and castles and I kind of have the same vibe here where like I look at this series and I'm like I'm imagining like what Senku can literally like restart civilization and hopefully shape it to be better than it was originally. I'm not talking like better in the sense because I know the main villain of this series he has his own twisted ideals on it, but like it'd be interesting if he could like I hope like at some point when he's thinking about like reviving, I'm not saying like he should revive everyone, but he should like think about like the fucked up stuff that happened in the world and be like maybe I can kind of rebuild civilization in such a way that at least attempts to fix some of the problems we had in the future because you're essentially given a clean slate. And I think that obviously like the main villain here, he goes too far in the sense of like, no, we should kill all of the older people and just revive the young. And it's like, what does that solve?
It's children of it's Lord of the Flies all over.
I've read Lord of the Flies, but I don't see the comparison.
It's basically
you're talking about like because it was all children and shit.
Yes.
I guess
you are the most
no. Okay. Can I tell you why I didn't see the comparison? Because I thought because in Lord of the Flies, the main point of that book was not the fact that they were kids. It was more of like a human's animalistic instinct overpowering the human instinct and kind of like causing them to go crazy, like when they lose their civilization. So I guess that makes sense. I thought that you were talking about the reason it kind of confused me is because I thought that you meant that like he was reviving like literal children, and then by young, you look at what he's reviving. He's reviving like teens. That's why I was confused because I was like, no, Lord of the Flies is young, but now I get. So I apologize. Also, it's fucking 4:30 in the morning. So fuck you.
You love me, bitch.
Yeah, I do. But yeah, I think good video, I guess. Good chapter.
Yeah. Great
I'm
chapter.
tired. But good shit. We'll be doing this weekly. And hopefully eventually adding Black Clover as well.
And hopefully
more
not
and more
at
manga.
almost 5 o'clock in the fucking morning.
Well, we had a 2-hour Black Clover debate in the middle.
True.
Peace.
Peace.
Later.